During this year's celebration of Women's History Month, Queens Public Library is celebrating the leadership, strength, and solidarity of women identifying individuals in all walks of life. Be inspired to unleash your power within and make your visions for the future a reality. For upcoming programs, book recommendations, and more, visit queenslib.org/WHM 2023. Tax season is here. Queens Public Library is partnering with a number of organizations to offer free in-person tax counseling sessions at several QPL locations. Visit our blog at queenslibrary.org for more information. QPL's mobile app now translates to over 90 languages. Check out all the services you can access using our mobile app and its latest features. It's available for both Apple iOS and Android. Download the QPL mobile app today at connect.queenslibrary.org.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Christopher Galarza, Queens Public Library's Community Health Coordinator. Today, we are joined by Nelida Reyes-Beckles. Nelly is a community educator for the Nutrition and Health Program of Cornell University Cooperative Extension. CUCE puts knowledge to work in pursuit of economic vitality, ecological sustain, and social well-being. We are excited to have her speak about the importance of nutrition for our health. As always, if you have any questions or want to comment on the things that we're talking about, please drop those in the chat, as we always love hearing from you all. Without further ado, Nelida, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Again, as Christopher said, I'm part of the Cornell University Cooperative Extension program. It's called FNEP, which is Expanded Food Nutrition Education Program. It's federally funded, the nutrition education program for limited resource youth and families, delivered through the Cooperative Extension, which is us. I lovingly refer to us as the hands and feet of Ithaca in the metropolitan area. The metropolitan area for us consists of Staten Island, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. So thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be talking about making a change: sugar, fat, and sodium. So let's get started. What do you do when your children continue to ask for fast food, sugary cereals, soft drinks, and candy? I think that's a really good question, because a lot of times we give it to them, right? We have a hard time saying no. So when deciding to feed your children, how often do you think about healthy food choices? Well, many times economically, we're thinking based financially or in money, what it is that we can or cannot afford, especially during this time, having been challenging for many families, right? So that is what our program is about. So today we're going to be talking about one of the ways that we help in that regard, and that is by learning to read a food nutrition facts label. So when we make decisions about the foods that we eat, it's very important to use the nutrition facts label on the food label. And as you can see here, we have the serving size, which is 1 cup. This was actually a nutrition facts label of a mac and cheese box, right? So the serving size for the mac and cheese is supposed to be 1 cup. Servings per container, 2, meaning 2 people can eat from this box. So how do we read it? Okay, well, in the areas that are considered heart health, such as this right here, we talk about 5% or less is best, and 20% or more is too high. So you want to we teach about reading the daily value more so than the actual grams or milligrams, because it just makes it so much easier to understand and discern. So For saturated fats and cholesterol and sodium, we want to keep it at 5% or less, right? 20% or more is too high. Even 18 and 15 and 10% is still considered high. Now, for the areas such as dietary fiber and vitamins, as you can see down here, right? Sorry about that, my mouse. Dietary fiber and vitamins right here. We want to talk about how 20% or more is actually better and 5% or less is actually too low. Okay? So we talk about vitamins, 4%, calcium, 20%, vitamin C is 2%, iron is 4%. So these are actually still very low, even though the calcium content is high enough. Okay, it's actually high. 20% or more is actually best. Okay, so 2 people can eat from this. These are the areas we have to watch out for. 5% or less is best. These are the areas here with the fiber and vitamins where we want 20% or more. All right. So what we look at for when we're reading the nutrition facts label, I had already discussed that with you. The 1 cup servings per container for 2 people. The labels vary in different foods. As we know that this belongs to a mac and cheese box, right? It may be more or less than what you usually eat. However, just know that if you eat more, the servings per container also increase. Okay. So if you're actually eating for 2 people, know that the servings per container actually increase. All right. So it increases by how? Calories. So instead of 250, you'll be eating 500 calories, right? You'll also double your calories from fat. The calories from fat for 1 cup is 110. Okay. So if you have 2 cups, it is what? 220? If I'm not mistaken. So we know that calories, as it states here, provides a measure of how much energy you get from the serving of food, the number of servings that you consume, and the portion that you eat. So that also determines the number of calories that you actually eat. Okay. So the calorie section is really, really important because it helps you to manage your weight. It also helps you to understand how much it is that you are actually eating. That's why we talk about read it before you eat it. We talked about the 5% or less being best in the areas that deal with heart health, fat, cholesterol, and sodium. Okay? So eating too much of these nutrients can lead to becoming overweight and getting certain diseases, chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes, okay, and high blood pressure. So going back down to the 5% or less is low in the areas where we require more nutrient, right? We want to get enough of those foods that are high in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So we talk about the 20% or more being more favorable than 5% or less. And the areas you want to look at are the fiber, the vitamin A and C, calcium, and iron. And we know eating enough of these nutrients can improve your health and help reduce the chances of getting some of those chronic diseases. So, how often do you use a nutrition facts label to make healthy choices? Hopefully, after this slide, much more often than you probably did starting off. Why is it important to limit fat? Well, we want to keep the arteries clear in our bodies, right? We want to keep our heart fully functioning. Okay. We want to make sure that there are no obstructions. We want to make sure that there is no buildup in the arteries that can cause your heart to fail, right? Or be in poor health. So we know that too much fat increases the risk for diabetes and heart disease and some cancers. It can also lead to unhealthy weight gain. It can make it more difficult to lose weight. And most of the time, we do eat more fat than we need. Okay, so some of the main sources of fat in our diets are the fat that we use in cooking, the fats that are added to foods like butter, margarine, mayonnaise, salad dressing, and gravies. Okay, cheeses, fatty meats, such as deli meats, some of them are very high in fat, whole milk, So the USDA in the dietary guidelines recommends that you have 1%, right, or less fat in milk, pastries and baked goods, which we know we love, but we want to do everything in moderation. We want to eat these in moderation, not every day if at all possible. Some of our snack foods are also very high in fat, okay, like some of those cakes that we get in the packages, the potato chips, things of that nature. And we know that our fried foods are also high in fat. And most of our fast foods are also high in fat. So, some ways to reduce fat are choosing poultry without the skin or cooking it without the skin, choosing lean cuts, low fat and fat free dairy milk. And when you're eating out, don't supersize, right? Get a smaller size. Choose grilled versus fried. Order without a special sauce, mayonnaise, or gravy. And if it does come with it, have it go to the side, put it to the side, or have it ask for it to be served on the side. You want to choose fruits and vegetables instead of fries. And you want to order salad dressing on the side or limit the amount, just like I said above. All right. So, how much fat does each food have? Well, the hamburger has 17 grams of fat. The skinless breast has 3.6 grams. Our French fries, 17 grams. We know that a baked potato has 0 grams. And of course, with the butter, it probably has a few grams in there, but not a whole lot. We know that our veggies have no grams of fat because it's all natural. Those pastries that sometimes we pick up at the fast food restaurants have 12 grams of fat. And of course, when you're eating out, you can ask to see the nutrition facts in your food. And we know that fresh fruit has no fat as well, this apple in particular. So let's go to sugar. Why is it important to limit sugar? Eating foods and beverages that are high in sugar can affect our teeth and cause us to gain weight. So decreasing these foods and beverages high in sugar can prevent cavities and help us to maintain a healthy weight. And some of the main sources of sugar in our diet are the soft drinks and other sweetened beverages, right? Those beverages that are not whole, okay? Pastries and baked goods, ice creamed and sweetened yogurts, all right? And with the sweetened yogurts, you can actually get your plain yogurt. A lot of times, people will choose the Greek yogurts, but you can add honey to those. You can add nuts. You can add your fresh fruits, which would naturally sweeten your yogurt. Okay, so here we have an example of a soda can. All right, and the nutrition facts label here says that the serving size is 8 fluid ounces, which is about 1 cup. This can, of course, is not quite the size. I think it would be more like 20 ounce, right? Or maybe even bigger. But it says servings per container 8. We know that this soda can does not serve 8. Most of the time, it just serves 1 or maybe 2 people if you only drink half. So the calories per 8 fluid ounces is 100. The sodium is 35, which is 1%, which is not much. Carbohydrate, 9%, but sugars are 27 grams, okay? So when we look at the ingredients, we see carbonated water, sucrose, caramel color, phosphoric acid, natural flavors, as well as caffeine. So, how much sugar is in your beverage? Well, the rule of thumb is every 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon of sugar. So we look at the nutrition facts label, right? Right here. And what you do is that you write down the servings per container. The servings per container here for 8 fluid ounces is 2.5. Then we want to write down how many grams of sugar. Well, when we look at the grams of sugar, it says 27. we want to multiply the servings per container by the grams of sugar. So that's 27 times 2 gives us 65 total grams of sugar in the whole container. All right, so 65 divided by 4 will give us about 16.25 teaspoons of sugar in the whole container. Now, when I use a cup of about 7 or 8 ounces, it will fill about 3/4 of that cup with sugar. Okay, so it's very, very important that when you are drinking a carbonated drink, such as Coca-Cola or Pepsi or anything like that, that you look at the sugars, look at the grams of sugar. Okay, so 13.5 teaspoons of sugar in a 12-ounce can of soda is 13.5 teaspoons, equal about a 1/4 cup. All right, a 1/4 cup, as you can see here. Here we have crush. It equals about that amount right there, according to that can. But when you do it and you measure out the teaspoons, you'd be surprised at what it actually looks like. So we're going to now salt. Why should I limit salt? Why should we limit salt? Well, we should limit salt because it contains sodium, and too much sodium may increase blood pressure and the risk for some heart diseases. Okay, so it says the most of the sodium in our diet comes from fast foods and processed foods. So watch the deli meats, watch the frozen foods, watch those things, those food items in the frozen foods section. Okay, also canned foods such as soups and vegetables are also very high in sodium unless they're labeled low sodium. Okay, condiments like olives and ketchup, salsa, and pickles are also high in sodium. But we know that plant foods such as vegetables, fruits, and grains contain very little sodium unless the salt is added during the cooking process or while we're processing the food itself and seasoning it right before cooking it. So some ways to lower your salt in your diet are using herbs and spices instead of salt. Limit soy, ketchup, and barbecue sauces, right? If using canned vegetables, pour off the liquid, rinse the vegetables or the beans. Okay, compare the sodium content of different foods by looking at the nutrition facts label and buy the foods with less sodium if at all possible. So here we have a salt shaker, and we found from doing research that 77% of our sodium comes from processed and prepared foods. 12% comes from natural sources. 6% comes from adding while we're eating because we don't think it's flavorful enough. And the other 5% right here on the top comes while added in cooking. Okay, so here we have some food items. And we found out that soda has about 15 milligrams of sodium. Can of soup has about 650 milligrams of sodium. A slice of pizza has about 640 milligrams of sodium. Water has none. Your apple has none, or your fruit has none. A bag of chips has about 170 milligrams. Your cup of noodle soup or soup in a cup has about 660 milligrams. Your processed meats, about 362 milligrams. And your banana has no milligrams. Okay, so you want to watch the sodium content in the foods that you're eating. So hopefully now that you have a better idea of how a nutrition facts label works, you won't be as surprised, even though the question asked here is, what surprised you? Well, for me, it was understanding the daily value in sodium, not just sodium, but fat and cholesterol and even sugar, right? So, simple rule of thumb, in the areas that are not good for you, right, which are the sugar, the fat, the sodium, and cholesterol, 5% or less is definitely best. 20% or more is going to be too high. So we want to keep those levels down. Okay. And in the areas that are great for you, like in the area of fiber, okay, and vitamins, you want to make sure that those levels are higher. The rule of thumb is if it's 5% or less, it's too low. If it's 20% or more, it's better for you. All right. So what can we do to cut down on sugar, fat, and sodium? Well, we already discussed it. Read the nutrition facts label. Okay, my slide went ahead. Going back. How can we do that? Knowing how to read the nutrition facts label, as I stated earlier, knowing the daily value, percentages, understanding how it works, recognizing the portion sizes. When you get a food item, look at how many people can eat from that food item. For instance, we have an activity with cookies, right? And one of the favorite with the children is Chips Ahoy. Now, we know that many times we do not eat 3 cookies, even though the serving size is 3 cookies, right? We eat 6 or 7, which increases the sugar content in the cookies. So it's always very important to look at the serving size. Remember, if you eat more, your calories increase from the food as well as the fat from the food as well. Okay, so with that said, I want to thank everyone for their time. Now, thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I would like to do is that I would like to share a couple of videos. This is something that we also do in our workshops. One is drinking healthier beverages, right? Finding ways to have healthy beverages, especially in water, increasing your water intake. How much water? That's based on an individual basis. That's really for the person to determine with their physician, right? Because we have many conditions, sometimes predisposed conditions in our families, and where we need to increase, we don't increase, and where we need to decrease, we may not decrease. So we have some chronic conditions that run through the family. So it's always very important to observe and to consult with your doctor about what would be best for you. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to move on to a video on water with a twist. This is how we encourage the drinking of water. So I hope you enjoy this video and it's helpful. Nope, come up. Bear with me, bear with me. Let's see if it'll come up again. There we go.
Hey guys, it's Danny, and today I am sharing my 5 favorite fruit-infused water combinations. Now, I know that fruit-infused waters are not a new concept, but to me they are, and I am absolutely in love with them. It's a really easy way to add some fun and flair to your water, and it makes it a whole lot easier to stay hydrated when you know that your water is going to be jam-packed with flavor. So there's really no specific recipe you need to follow here. Generally speaking, what I like to do is grab the really big 32-ounce mason jars. I fill them about 1/3 to halfway up with whatever flavors I'm using. Then I pack in some ice and fill the rest up with water. But really, guys, you could do this with any jar, with any flavor combinations, and any measurements you like. So just make it work with whatever it is you have on hand. Flavor combination number 1, fresh sliced grapefruit, rosemary, and lemon rinds. The lemon rind is where all the zest and concentrated lemon flavor is. This one is a mocktail. Kind of feels like you're drinking a cocktail, but not. Next up, have strawberries, watermelon balls, and FYI, if you're interested in making your melon into these little balls, all you need is this little tool. You can buy it right on Amazon. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. But it makes it really fun, and if you have kids, they go absolutely crazy for them. And some fresh basil. This combination screams summer. You've got the watermelon and the berries, which the basil right from the garden. This is my children's, and I think it might be my personal favorite. Number 3, fresh sliced oranges. You could also do clementine segments if you had those on hand. Blueberries and mint. This one is packed with vitamin C. It's super nourishing, and those little blueberries are packed with antioxidants. Number 4, sliced lemons, cucumbers, and some fresh ginger. This one I like to start the morning with. I find it to be very cleansing, very energizing, and it gives my body a little kick. And last but not least, I have my melon ball galore. We've got fresh sliced lime with honeydew and cantaloupe balls. This one is super juicy and refreshing, and the kids especially love this one because it's like a party in a jar. Now, the best part about these waters is that you can refill them several times throughout the day, and all of the flavor from the fruit and the herbs will continue to release their goodness. And you can also take your straw and just muddle it down a bit, and the flavor gets even stronger. And one last tip that is great if you're taking these waters on the go is that you get a big jar of water, so you're staying nice and hydrated, and then when you're done drinking, you've got this yummy little fruit snack on the bottom. So it's like a total win-win. So guys, if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already done it, subscribe. For more inspiration throughout your week, make sure to follow me on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, and thank you so much for watching. I'm Danny Spies. I'll see you back here next time with some more clean and deliciousness. Cheers!
Wonderful. So, with that said, I hope that it will encourage you to drink more water, if in fact that is something that you can do, and experiment. See what fruits it is that you would like to have in your water. But the object is to drink more water. We know that it hydrates and it helps us to flush out those toxins from our bodies, right? So that's just one idea, or maybe several ideas right there that you could probably try. Okay? Just look it up on YouTube, and there are just so many different videos with so many different creative ways on how to drink more water, or to make it in a way where you would want to drink it, right? Okay, so I'm trying to move on to the next one. This is something that we actually do in our workshops as well. It's called the 5-minute morning routine. And of course, not every video is the same. This is something that we would do. It can be yoga, it can be breathing, it could be so many different things that we share to help reduce stress and anxiety and different things like that. So, enjoy.
This is a 5-minute routine that you can do every single morning, and the idea is that this routine is designed to prepare your body for the day ahead. We're going to look at increasing your circulation, your energy, and we're also going to do a little bit of deep breathing, and you can do it watching the sun rise. So you can do this in anything that you feel comfortable in. So when you're ready, let's get started. So it's a really lovely flowing routine, and just follow along to what I'm doing. So first move, just knees slightly bent, and just you're going to swing the arms back and forth. So we're just waking up your body. This is just going to slowly increase your circulation. If you don't want any coaching throughout this video, then you can simply press the mute. What I want you to do is read out loud to yourself these daily affirmations that I'm posting up, because this is also about a positive mindset for the day ahead. So just keep swinging through those arms. You've got a little timer bar there for your reference on the right. So for your next move, this time now, just do a little side tap. And what we're going to do is just a little half circle with the those arms, just working one arm at a time. And this one is just about warming up your joints. And just keep that going. And here's your next affirmation. And say these, and it's so important to say them out loud. Really take in these thoughts. And for your next move, this time now, we're going to do some really lovely stretches through the side of your body. Reach up and over and just hold. Knees are bent and come back. And now reach up and over. And then slowly come back. And the more often you do this workout, you'll become familiar with the moves. And you can do this morning routine every single morning and just reach up and over. All right, so what we're going to do the same now on the opposite side. So your knees stay slightly bent. And this is now stretching all through those side muscles, which is really lovely after we've had a night's sleep as well. Up and over and just reach up. And we're doing it at a really lovely, slow pace. This isn't about increasing your heart rate. It's just about warming up your body. All right, well done. So for your next move, this time now, what I'd like you to do is stand with your feet slightly wider than hip width distance apart. And we're just going to sway from one side to the other. So what we're doing here is we're just increasing a little bit of mobility through your hips. Just doing this little lateral sideways movement. And again, these daily affirmations are such a positive way to really set your mindset up for the day ahead. Reaching that across. Now walk the feet in. And this time now, we're going to go back to that first move. But what I want you to do is make it a little bit more dynamic. Really swing through with those arms. Make that move a little bit bigger as we're really now increasing your core body temperature and giving a little toe tap. And the other thing that we're doing now is we're really working on what I refer to as your motor skills. So this is the brain and muscle connection. And just swing through with those arms. That's good. And for your next move, this time now, similar one as we did before, just this time now, we're doing double arms. Really make these arms nice big. Just imagine you are drawing a sunshine. And this one here is just going to really help to mobilize your full body. That's it. And keep the knees slightly bent and just nice full range, making those moves bigger each time. So for your next move, this time now, again, we're going to do that one going from one side to the other, but we're going to make it a little bit more dynamic and really push with that palm and push that hand in front, just going from one side to the other. That's good. And reaching that across. And there is your next affirmation. And really focus on this. Today, you are going to be working on making your dreams become your reality. And just walk those feet back in. So for your next one, this time now, what we're going to do is focus on some deep breathing. So just be in a comfortable position for me. Now take a deep breath in through your nose and now exhale through the mouth. And again, take a deep breath in and now exhale through the mouth. And it's really important every day to do a few deep breaths because we do way too much shallow breathing, and doing deep breathing is so good for you. Take that deep breath out. That's good. And let's do one really powerful one now. So get ready. Deep breath in for me. Breathe all the way in and now deep breath out. So you're really breathing out from the lower part of your lungs on there. And well done. So that is you now set up for the day. And remember, you can do anything you put your mind to, and just take one day at a time. So high five and have the most amazing day. And if you want to, come back later on because I've also got my 5-minute sleep better workout. And that is designed to just help slow your body down and prepare you for a good night's sleep. So I'll see you later on my YouTube channel.
All right. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege and an honor to be with you today. And Any questions that you have, as Christopher said, you can forward them to him. Okay? Thank you
Thank,
so much.
thank you so much for that presentation. I like the 5%, 20%. I haven't heard that before. And to think about like, okay, like my meal, I want to be hitting these certain goals instead of saying, you know, I need 2 grams of this and 200 calories. And I think it's an easier way than to be doing all that math all the time. So can you speak more to that about, how what's an easier way to think about how we eat food,
What's an easier way? The easiest way actually is to find out what your caloric intake is.
Mhm.
And that's something that you would work out with your physician in order to understand how much it is that you should be eating throughout the course of the day, right? And so they will base it on three things when you go see a dietitian or a nutritionist, and it'll be gender. It will be gender, your activity level, right? And it'll be based on majority of those things right there. They want to know how active you are. Um, and so even though there are, and your age, I'm sorry, your age as well, because that's a whole section by itself. So obviously, if you, um, what we teach on is My Plate, right? The
Mhm.
nutrition facts label and My Plate, the curriculum together. And so, what we would do is that we would encourage you to find out what your caloric intake is, because that's the only way that you can determine how much
Mhm.
it is that you're supposed to eat and how much it is that you're supposed to drink, right? Ours is based on 2,000 calories, as I said before, which is the median. So that would probably be between a person who's active about 30 to 60 minutes a day. We're supposed to have actually 2.5 hours of physical activity a week, okay, as adults. But for someone who's more sedentary, like maybe they sit more at the desk, they don't move around as much, the
Mhm.
caloric intake would probably be less. And for someone who's more active, like somebody who loves running marathons, different things, are very active during the day, up and down stairs, running, going into the field, varying locations, it would probably be more calories, right? So really, it has to start there,
Mhm.
finding out what is for you, and then moving forward from there.
Yeah, so one thing that I keep hearing you going back to is working with health professionals in creating this plan, right? Speaking to your providers, speaking about what kind of needs that you have, and how to then take a holistic approach rather
Mhm.
than focusing on like, oh, I'm overweight, so I'm gonna cut out fats. Like that's not exactly a smart way to go about. There's a team of people who are here to help and support you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And having a balanced plate, if at all possible, at every meal. Yeah, like making half your plate fruits and vegetables, right? Making sure you're eating more whole grains, which is part of the curriculum that we teach, right? Making sure your proteins are lean and varying your proteins, not just having meat, but chicken and fish, right? Beans, a great source of protein, and they're a vegetable as well. So you're getting the best of both worlds with the beans, okay? But absolutely, always going back, because each person is different. And if you have a predisposition to certain conditions in your family, you want to make sure that you're not trying some new diet, not understanding how your body is going to work on it, right? It can backfire on you, and it can actually it may even cause you to gain more weight in the long run, what we refer to as the yo-yo diets, and the gaining and the losing, going back and forth. And as you get older, it becomes a little bit more difficult to lose that weight or to
Mhm.
stay at a healthy weight. So definitely, it's always going back to your physician and those specialists that can help you, uh, like you said, having a more holistic view and plan for your life.
We have a comment from someone, Cabrini. He says that I love fruit infused water. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I prefer citrus. What do you prefer?
Who, me? I love
Yeah,
fruit
you and
infused water. I
Cabrini.
love cucumber and mint. And when I
Mhm.
feel like a soda, I will get the sparkling water, right? I'll get
Mhm.
the seltzer water. And one thing, recipe that we have is called pineapple fizz. But of course, it doesn't have to be pineapple juice. It can be your favorite juice, just as long as it's 100%.
Mhm.
Right. And the way you know is by looking at the back and checking to make sure it says 100% juice and that it's not a juice drink and it's not a juice cocktail, and
Mhm.
doing half and half. And you make your own soda. And it's natural. Or add fruit, fresh fruit to your seltzer water. Even better.
And yeah, that's a big thing about reading labels. I think it's a little tricky sometimes, right? As we're walking through the grocery store, we see, oh, cranberry juice, but then in small prints, drink, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not cranberry juice, it's cranberry juice drink, which means
Mm-hmm.
that it's probably 10% water and then the rest is all sugar.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
and and I think another thing that you were speaking about, and I love that you ended on the 5 minute, routine to start our days. It's like the mindfulness, and I know mindfulness is a word that gets passed around a lot, but it's really, to me, I think it's really about thinking about the choices that we make, right?
Yeah.
So can you speak a little bit more to that about like, when we go, it's not just, oh, I need to fuel myself, right? It's about creating a meal that will get what we need. So can you speak more to that?
Yeah, and mindfulness really is very extensive. It's about just being in the present moment. If it's in making that meal, observing the textures, taking in the smell. When you finally have a chance to eat it, are you crunching? Is it smooth? It's just being in that moment, being there, focused on that meal, the cooking of the meal, the putting together of the ingredients, right? If it's going outside, it's observing nature. Are the birds singing? Oh my gosh, the birds are singing. What kind of bird is that, right? Scenes around you. Oh my gosh, so much architecture. Let's say you're in the city, right? And it's just literally being in the moment and observing the moment, appreciating the moment, savoring the moment, because a lot of times we're in such a rush and under so
Mhm.
much pressure to get things done because our agenda is so full from beginning of the day till the end of the day, and sometimes we're not even ending when we're supposed to. And really, it's a moment for your mind to rest and relax, maybe even unwind. I've often heard that in the last hour of your day you shouldn't be doing anything stressful. That's also a mindful moment. If it means sitting in a hot bath, right, reading a book, listening to music, it literally means focusing in, tuning in to whatever it is that's going on in that moment. That's what it means to have a mindful moment. Not necessarily meditating, even though
Mhm.
meditation is fine. A lot of people practice meditation and yoga, but breathing is also having a mindful moment. I recently discovered belly breathing, which was very interesting, right? And it was a belly breathing exercise that you could do standing up, sitting down, or laying down.
Mhm.
And you had to do it 7 times in reps of 3. So 7, 14, 21 altogether. And when you focused on the belly breathing, because we know that babies, right,
Mhm.
they breathe from their belly. But as we get older, we breathe from our chest, right? So you learn how to breathe from the belly, and it's in the expansion of the belly and the deflation. And you can put your hand on your belly to ensure that you're you're doing it that way. And I found, and I didn't really believe it originally, but when I tried it, I found that it lowered my blood pressure
Mhm. Mhm.
and my heart rate, especially when I felt rushed and hurried. And I got to get on to the next task. And sometimes we don't realize, like she said, we do a lot of shallow
Yes.
breathing. The deep breathing is actually very good for you. But the belly breathing was an interesting find. I
You
had
know,
not heard about that till recently.
it's interesting you say that. So I am a trained opera singer. So we always talk about finding that like lower expansion when you're breathing, because if you're lifting your shoulders or you're breathing up here, you're not really getting that deep breath. And and I find that when I get stressed, like you said, that shallow breathing, and you feel like you're not taking in enough air, and just
Mhm.
stopping and like making sure you get that expansion really,
Mhm.
really helps.
From your belly. Yep.
From your
Mhm.
belly, from your lower back, like it
Mhm.
all just allows to get that oxygen that you need. Um, Cabrini said that his go-to flavored water is usually lemon, but he also loves strawberry and cucumber.
Mhm.
Strawberry and cucumber is a
Absolutely.
good is
Absolutely.
that's a
And
good
if you're
one.
watermelon, you have watermelon, it's great too. Someone shared with me, they said, just as the watermelon is getting ready to go,
Uh-huh.
don't throw it away. Make a smoothie out of it, a shake out of it, right? Add ice, a little water, and blend it up. And you've got a nice, cool, refreshing drink for the summertime.
That
Mhm.
reminds me of agua fresca, right? When you
Mhm.
take the fresh fruit and you mix it with water.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes we mix it with milk, but with water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you need your protein and your
Yep.
calcium, you can add the milk. It's okay. The thing is to get the nutrients. And the
Mhm.
great part about the water with the twist or the fruit infused water
Yeah.
is that you're getting your fruit and you're getting your water. So when you
Mhm.
finish drinking the water, just like she said in the video, you're eating your fruit.
Right.
You just want to make sure that it's not something that falls apart in the water so easily, because
Mhm.
then it can get kind of mushy and yucky, right?
Yeah.
And the kids, they go, ew, no. So that's something you don't want to necessarily do. You want to make sure that you use fruit that can hold up in the water and make it taste good.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
by
experimenting as you go.
and by using the fruit, and eating it, you get that fiber, right? So it's not just like
Absolutely.
juice where, it just goes and it absorbs quickly into your bloodstream, and you get that hit of
Mhm.
sugar, where when you're eating the fruit, you have the fiber, and you're not getting that rush that we sometimes
That
get when we
rush,
drink.
absolutely. And a lot of times we get the questions between juicing and
Mhm,
different things like that. What's the difference, right?
mhm,
Well, with juicing, you have to be careful because a lot of times, depending on how you juice, the fiber is removed and you're just getting the
right,
sweet of the fruit, right?
mhm,
So you want to do something where you're getting both the fiber as well as the natural sweetness of the fruit. And the dietary guidelines for Americans says if you got to have the juice,
mhm,
okay, don't have more than 6 ounces, 8 ounces at max, but no more than 4 to 6 ounces. Why? Because they want you to eat the fruit whole, because
mhm,
in it is the fiber as well as the natural sweetness of the fruit.
mhm. And
And
I also
remember, based on a 2,000 calorie diet, you got to have 2 cups a day.
Right, and, I was gonna say, and I also find that eating the fruit helps with that mindfulness, right? Because I
Yes, it
think it's
does.
it's so easy to just, glass of juice, where if you say, "Okay, I'm gonna have an orange, and I'm going to, just take my time and eat this," that, like, I find it more satisfying
Hmm. It
than just
is.
right?
Orange, you're peeling it, and as you're
Mhm.
peeling it, you're watching the juice, from the rind, right?
Uh-huh.
The smell, the texture, right? Before you get to the actual orange, and then you get into the inside of the orange, and then you start peeling away the layers, right?
Mhm.
Each part. And then there's the little skin, the little, what I refer to as the veins. But
Mhm.
it's mindful. You're in the moment. You're like peeling away the skin. Wow, that smells great,
Mhm.
right? Until you get to the meat of the orange,
Mhm.
until that's where the fiber is. Hmm.
Yeah, and just, I think also, just speaking about food and our experience of food,
Hmm.
I think that is something that we need to think about, because, often people say, I'm probably gonna mess up the saying, but uh, eat to live, don't live to eat. But I
Hmm.
think I think that kind of makes it too simple, right?
Hmm.
Because we should enjoy our food, right? We
Hmm.
should experience, we just shouldn't be going overboard with our things.
Hmm.
And the opposite is true. Also, we shouldn't be eliminating everything from our diet because of, X, Y, Z. It's about achieving that balance that you were saying, that again,
Hmm.
I want to go back to that 5%, 20%. I think it's such a great idea of, like, there are certain things that we still need, but we just want to make sure we limit them, and there are things that we definitely want to make sure that we're getting enough.
Have more. Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's why the percentages, the daily value is so great, because you don't have to overthink it. Just know
Right.
the rule of thumb. 5% or less is best, right? For the things that are not good for us.
Mhm.
And 20% or more is great for the things that are good for us.
Mhm.
Right. And if you can get it in the double digits with the things that are good for us, the nutrients and the vitamins that are good for us, that's great too, as long as you're getting something. But I love that. It's just simple. It's right there. You don't have to do any other calculations. It's just right there for you if you know the rule of thumb. The same thing with the sugar. Every 4
Mhm.
grams equals 1 teaspoon. You're doing the 4 times tables. Right?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
with the kids, they're like, what? Yeah, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. You do through the 4 times table, because every 4 grams in a drink equals 1 teaspoon. So what does
Mhm.
that say about the healthy drinks, right? Like the naked drink, different things
Right.
like that. They're
Mhm.
great, but you have to watch it because it is still high in sugar, right? So don't have, like I said, when it comes to a fruit juice, 100%. Don't have any more. It's recommended that you shouldn't have any more than 6 ounces, which is about 3/4 of a cup. Now, if you're going to have 8 ounces, don't have any more than that. Have the other cup based on the
Mhm.
2,000 calorie diet, whole fruit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that. So if you want juice, right? Don't say, okay, I'm gonna have no juice for the rest of my life. Say, no, I'm going to have a serving of this, and then I'm gonna have the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a great way to think about our carbs, right? So often we say, oh, I'm gonna cut out white rice. I'm gonna cut all this. It's like, no, you can have a serving white rice, but make sure that you have 1 or 2 servings of brown rice or whole grains. That way, you're still
Yeah,
getting
vary your
all.
grains,
Mhm.
vary your grains. Absolutely. Quinoa. I mean, there's so many different ways, whole grain pasta, brown rice. And of course, not all brown rices are created equal. So you have
Right.
to find the one
Yes.
that's made for you. Because if you
Mhm.
get the one that's extremely grainy and chewy, you're not going to eat it. Right. But
Right.
if that is the only solution that you have, like if you fall into a situation where you have to go, one of the things we talk about is plan, shop, and save. And one of
Mhm.
the resources, the greatest resources in the community, are the food pantries now, right? And they give you
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
bag of brown rice. Well, there's things that you can do with it. You can add veggies to it. You can cook it in a chicken broth, a low sodium chicken broth, to give it some flavor, like
Mhm.
you do with the quinoa, right? So
Mhm.
there's so many different things that you can do. It's just a matter, and technology. Look it up. There's so many
Yes.
different recipes, so many different websites, so many different ideas and YouTube videos and different things like that. So many ways that you can find to make something more
Mhm.
flavorful and still be healthy. So,
Yeah.
it's really, really up to us.
I love that idea of okay, I have this item, what can I do with it?
Hmm.
I tend to be a collector of cookbooks because I just love
Me
seeing,
too.
I love
I
seeing
love
new ways,
recipes.
new ways
Yeah.
of because I think again, like it's about bringing that joy and play
Hmm.
back into our food. And sometimes we're like, okay, well, I'm just going to throw this together because this is what I have every day. But exploring and having fun again, I
Hmm.
think as adults we don't have enough fun.
Yeah, get an app on your phone. If they have a plant app, they've got to have a veggie app, right?
Right.
Or a fruit app, something where you look at it and you go and you open up the application. I know I can do it with a plant app, right? And
Mhm.
just scan the plant and it'll tell me what plant it is, what it needs. Well, maybe there's something that can be done with that too when it comes to food, right?
Mhm.
If you don't know what something is, like you said, exploring is so important. Find out what it is, find out what it's used for. Most of the time, even if there isn't an app to help address that, what you can do is, what is the name of the item? Look it
Mhm.
up. Look and see what it's used for, how it's cooked, how it's eaten, right?
Mhm.
What culture it comes from.
Mhm.
You'd be
Mhm.
surprised what you find, right? So, yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of exploration. It's a matter of being open to the experience. And, like you said, enjoying it. And,
Mhm.
the biggest thing is having fun. Like recently, in the last few years working the farmers market,
Mhm.
the donut, what are they called? Donut peaches, I think they're called. Yeah, well, anyway, it's a fruit and I believe
Uh-huh.
it's a peach, right? And it looks like a donut.
Mhm.
And it is the sweetest, most delicious fruit there is. And my
I've
granddaughter loves it. She's like, "Oh my God, Grandma, we're gonna go to the market and buy some," because she's just like all for it now. Yeah.
I've never heard of those, but I think that's a maybe that's an idea of a self date that I'm going to take myself to the farmer's market and just see what's
Mhm.
there,
See
you
what's
know.
there. Because that's where you're going to find all of the other types of fruits and veggies.
Hmm.
For instance, I always thought carrots were orange, but when we started in the farmers market, I found out that they were white and they were purple and they were orange and and so many different colors. We refer to
Hmm.
them as rainbow colors, right?
Hmm.
Because they were all different colors. The same thing with the beets.
Hmm.
So farmers markets are definitely a place to explore and discover with.
Hmm. And I also love like looking at different produce because especially for instance like tomatoes, right? There are so many different types of tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and in I don't know about you, but like in my mind, I'm like, tomato's a tomato. Until
Yeah.
you actually try the different ones, and like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, these plum tomatoes taste very different than these plum tomatoes, and
Mm-hmm.
these grape tomatoes are very different than, I think that like you said, the idea of like just trying things, see
Mm-hmm.
what's out there, see what you enjoy. It's we don't have to make bland food.
No, you don't. Absolutely not. And when we go to the farmers market, that's something that we do. We have recipes specifically for the farmers markets, and we collaborate with the farmers on site, and we use their produce in our recipes so that the community is able to taste and
Oh.
see what they have.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do that. Hmm. And the community doesn't have to pay anything for it. They just come and they take a little taste test and say, "What's in it? Oh, this is the recipe and this is what we use. This is the farmer. If you like, go over there and purchase and see if you can do the recipe yourself. What would you add? What would you take away?"
Mhm.
Right? And, we use a lot of dried herbs,
Mhm. Mhm.
no salt, a lot of dried herbs. So you can make your food flavorful because, as we know, the vegetables have their own
Mhm.
sodium, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, you know, I don't I I have been trying to incorporate more like raw veggies and raw
Hmm.
fruit because I think this may be an extreme way of putting it, but like I felt like I forgot what a raw carrot tasted like because we always cook them down and make them basically, mush and or we forget what like raw celery or onion or all these different apples. We forget what like that the core of the flavor tastes like,
Hmm.
right?
Again,
And then
being present in the moment, being
yes,
being in the moment. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And you're boiling out the nutrients when you cook it as well. So we have recipes where we do that too, where everything is just completely raw.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And you learn to add some fruits into those veggies to sweeten it up.
Yes.
You learn to make your own vinaigrettes, right? But
Hmm.
there's just, technology. Use it. It just
Yes.
can teach you so much.
Yes. And
Yeah,
if you don't have technology at home, come to the library. We
that's
have
right.
computers,
That's right.
we have cookbooks, we have all these different resources
Hmm.
and things available to everyone to come here and explore and play and have fun while,
Hmm.
getting healthier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. That's how I started. I started hitting the bookstores. I
Uh,
started hitting the bookstores and the libraries, and that's how I learned how to cook.
Phyllis asked if you could share the farmers market recipes. Is
Oh, the
there a
farmers markets recipes, that's something that we can probably, I will ask the person who's in charge and
okay.
see if we can pass that along to you.
Mhm. Is
Yes.
there is there a website that you all have that have recipes or
Yes, actually, it's the FNet website. Mm-hmm. With Cornell, you'll see recipes there. Mm-hmm.
awesome. Awesome. So we are coming to a close. Is there just one thing that you want to say to, that one point that you want to drive home for everyone before we leave?
The biggest point I want to drive home is make sure you understand what you're supposed to be eating and how much you're supposed to be eating. Be mindful of it. Take care of your body. One big thing we talk about is self care. What does that mean? It's all of those things, right? No extremes. Try not to go to the extremes when it comes to nutrition, right? Understand how you work. Advocate for yourself so that you can be your very best, because we have people that we take care of, but first and foremost we have to take care of ourselves. And I find that that's the biggest thing that sometimes we miss in life
Mhm.
and all the things that we do. Self-care. If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Nelly, for today, and we thank everyone for joining us and talking in the chat. We appreciate you all, and we hope that you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you at the next Wellness Wednesday. Bye, everyone.